Ayan, magandang araw, magandang umaga, magandang hapon, at magandang gabi. Kung anong oras nyo man po ito mapapanood. Welcome to Gurong Pinoy and welcome back to another concept-based discussion. No, particular na po, no, ang ating concept-based discussion ngayon ay tungkol sa ating sociology and anthropology, alright? And before we proceed, ladies and gentlemen, mga kaguro, kindly take the socio-anthropy test to gauge your prior knowledge on the subject. No? So feel free to pause this po for 5 minutes, no? 5 minutes para po sa ganun ay masagutan po muna ninyo. Okay? Alright. Okay, mukhang okay na po kayo, di ba? Ganun kabilis, di ba? Sige. At sa panahong ito, pwede na po tayo mag-proceed. I hope na at least sa mga panahong ito, mataas na rin po yung nakuha ninyong score, no? Alright. Okay, let's proceed to our concept-based lecture, our concept-based discussion on sociology and anthropology. Ayan, alright? So, for this specific concept-based discussion, we'll be tackling the following topics. Of course, we'll be learning about the thinkers, the theoretical perspectives. So dito makikilala natin yung mga famous sociologists, no? At saka syempre yung kanilang mga ideas na siyang lalamanin ng part 1 natin. Afterwards, we will also talk about culture, its characteristics and components, kinship, marriage and family, human sexuality and gender hierarchies, social components, social groups, stratification and processes, kasama na po ang ating Filipino value system, no? And by the way, no, isa din po ito, ito pong subject na ito, siya po yung may pinakamalaking bahagdan sa ating social science majorship, no? Kaya talaga we intended to create a separate concept-based lecture for this. Ayan. Okay. So, proceed po muna tayo. Ayan. So, this is sociology and it is defined as a social science that studies human societies, their interactions, and the processes that preserve and change them. Take note of that. Ayan, no? And actually, sa board exam po natin, ang ginagamit lang po niyang term, no? Kasi hindi naman po niya binubuo itong mga definition na ito. Pero ang common ground ng definition na na ginagamit ng PRC ay yung study of society, okay? At meron po itong variations. Halimbawa, no, sabi daw, which of the following, no, is the point of study in sociology? O ito yung mga choices. Social problems, social issues, social conflicts, or social interactions. O, number one, no? Add one out method, mapapansin mo yung tatlo, puro sila problema, yung tatlong nabanggit. Social problems, social issues, social conflicts. Kung add one out ang pag-uusapan, masasagot mo na po siya ng tama. Bakit? So the answer is social interactions. And you can actually see it here, no? Ayan, dito po sa definition natin. Yes, we study the society. We may tackle on the problems, yes, but we are focused not on the problems, but on the interactions happening between the people, no? Kaya nga po, in view of these interactions and the relationships, no, ang ating nagiging point of study would be, halimbawa, yung topics na tinatakal natin dito, yung socialization, no? Yung ating social stratification, how people are organized, meron ding deviance and social control, no? Syempre, tulad ng nabanggit kanina sa ating topics, meron po tayong gender and sexuality, kasama na no yung ating family and kinship. So kung mapapansin ninyo, ang sociology it's about our social relationships. It's about our social interactions, no? So wag po tayong papalito diyan. Next, kapag naman po sinabi nating wait lang, ba't hindi ko mapindot? Ayun, ang hirap pindutin. O siya, sige. Alright, ayan. So ito naman pong anthropology, it studies human beings in aspects ranging from the biology and evolutionary history to the features of society and culture that decisively distinguish humans from other animals and species, no? And basically, lumilitaw din po ito sa Gen Ed, no? Ang anthropology po, it's the study of the humanity. It's the study of the humanity or it's the study of humankind. Ganun po siya, okay? And you will see, based on the definition that was provided to you, ayan, no? Dito na rin po tayo magkakaroon ng glimpse, no? Review lang po natin yung different branches that we have, no, for anthropology. Siyempre, meron tayong cultural anthropology, that's number one. So dito pinag-uusapan natin yung cultures and societies, no? Yung mga customs nila, traditions, beliefs, no? Pati yung kanilang social practices. Next, yung ating archaeology naman po, ito yung nakafocus saan? Eh, di po ba alam natin, no? Tulad po na nakikita nyo sa larawan, no? When they study the material remains, when they study the artifacts, the structures, and the cultural landscapes, okay? Number three, yung biological anthropology, or actually, nakita yan sa definition natin, sabi, from the biology and evolutionary history to the features of the society. So, starting with the biology, ayan po, dito natin pinag-uusapan ang genetics, part po yan, di ba? Kaya limbawa, sa ating mga nagtuturo ng KULSOC po, yung Understanding Culture, Society, and Politics sa senior high school, pinasasadahan po natin, no, not only the ano no not only the culture itself, not only the sociological concepts, pero pati yung evolution of man, even tackling Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Homo sapiens, di ba? So, yan po, bahagi po yan, no? And lastly, we have our linguistic anthropology, pang-apat. From the term itself, linguistic, focus po ito on language and its role in shaping social life. And actually, in this discussion, naglagay na po tayo sa discussion ng kultura, no? Ano ba ito? Ng relevance ng language kasi itong new curriculum meron na siyang mga 2 hanggang 3 questions, no, in view of culture and language. So pag-uusapan po natin 'yan, all right? So that's anthropology. So basically ulitin lang po natin, sociology is the study of the society, particularly social interactions, and anthropology is basically the study of humanity, all right? Ngayon, proceed na po tayo dito sa mga famous thinkers that we have in sociology. Ayan, kilalang kilala nyo na po ba yung mga to? Eh, dapat lang, no? Sabi ko nga po, hindi pwedeng mag-board exam, no? Ang isang soci major na hindi niya kilala ang mga sumusunod. Naku, yung iba dyan, no? Naku, yung iba dyan talagang napapaisip, naku, sino to mga to, no? Ba't di ko kilala? Ito na po, isa-isahin po natin sila. But we already tackled this, no? Good thing para po sa mga nasa final coaching kasi ano ba ito? Kasi hindi na nila nadatnan yung iba nating videos, so good thing for them, no? At ito po ay first time siguro nilang ma-introduce sa kanila itong mga topics na ito, o itong mga taong ito. So we begin with, ayan, of course, number one, we have August Comte, no? Na kung saan dito naligwak ang taong bayan nung minsan. So August Comte, no? Siya po ang nag-coin ng term na sociology, no? And then siya din po ang tinatawag na father of sociology. Ang kagandahan po sa mga ginagamit nating terms dito sa lecture, ito din po yung mga terms ng board exam, no? So, one time, tinatanong, sino daw ang nag-coin ng term ng sociology? August Comte. Nung iba namang program, tinanong, sino naman daw ang father of sociology? Siya pa din po, no? And why was he considered the father? Because he was among the first not to apply po itong scientific method natin in the study of the society. Kasi, a common misconception, syempre, no? Kapag sociologist ka, or kapag halimbawa tayong mga teachers sa AP, no, na focus dito sa sociology, parang ang ating mga tinuturo ay batay lang ba sa chismis? Hindi po, no? Scientific method ang ginagamit natin. At dahil po yan kay August Comte, no, ang ama ng sociology. And also, ayan, siya na rin po ang nakikilala dun sa kanyang, of course, from the term scientific method kanina in studying society, ito po yung positivism, no? So, pag tinanong po ng board exam, ano po ang approach ni August Comte dito sa ating pag-aaral ng sociology? It's a positivist approach. Actually, itong si August Comte, no, siya po ay nag-argue that there are 3 types, no, or 3 stages rather of understanding. So, ito po sila. All right. Ayan, these are the 3 stages. We have theological, we have metaphysical, and we have positive. If you would, alam nyo, syempre, ang board exam, sorry po, no? Medyo may problema po sa aking ano ngayon, no? Sa aking throat. Anyway, pasensya na. Ayan, ang board exam, hindi naman natin i-expect na tatanungin tayo what is theological, no? Or what is metaphysical. Hindi ganon eh. Kumbaga, situational at saka talagang ano ba to, understanding type yung mga question. Naintindihan mo ba talaga? So, dapat isa-isahin po natin. And hindi din po bago sa inyo yung mga to kasi pinag-usapan na natin sila, no? Napapahapyawan na sila nung ating mga nakaraang discussion. Halimbawa, so these are the 3 stages, no? Nag-uumpisa po ang reasoning ng tao, yung pag-unawa ng tao using the theological stage. And what do we mean by the theological? Ay, di nyo pala nakikita. O, ayan po. That is the theological stage. Charan! At charan! Alright. Dito po sa theological stage, sabi ko nga po, ito yung punto ng pag-unawa o pag-aaral natin na kung saan we are always explaining using supernatural or religious beliefs, no? Ganun po siya. And then, kumbaga, sabi ko nga, ang punto kapag halimbawa may nagkasakit, no, o di kaya naman bakit may mga napaparusahan, ganyan. Ang lagi sinasabi dahil pinaparusahan ng Diyos, no? Ganun po. It's a theological stage. Now, after theological stage, nagkaroon ng metaphysical stage ang mundo. Di ba sabi ko po sa inyo, isa din sa tinatanong ng board exam, from the, ano ba to, from believing or relying on divine explanation to the human's capacity to think, yun po yung pagiging rational, 'di ba? Rational. Now, dito po papasok yung metaphysical stage, no? Na kung saan the people tried already made use of reasoning, no? Already made use of reasoning, no? Using their philosophical ideas, yung kanilang capacity to think to explain phenomena, no? Kaya dito na nag-start na pag-usapan yung essences, no? Pag-usapan yung nature of the things, ganyan. And lastly, ito pong positive, no? Ito pong positive stage na dito po natin mag-grasp yung idea ng positivism that after using humans' capacity to think, ito na, magta-transition na. Because knowledge from the positive perspective, ayan, look at the keyword, no? Is derived from scientific observation, no? So basically, dito na po ang mga tao gumagamit ng scientific observation, experiment, and facts, no? Dito, no, dito na rin nahahanguin ni August Comte na sa pag-aaral natin sa lipunan, pag-aaral natin sa society, kailangan ganun din. We also do observation, no? We also do proper research, no? We follow a systematic and an orderly manner. Hindi yung bara-bara lang, no? At hindi yung chismis-chismis lang. So, ganyan kahalaga, no? Kaya nga no wonder na si August Comte, siya po ang father of sociology. We proceed. Sino naman kaya ang susunod? Let's choose, no? Who's your fighter? Tingnan natin. Oh, isa pang paborito, no? Si Herbert Spencer. Ayan. So, as we know, no? So, Herbert Spencer is a social Darwinist, no? Naniniwala siya. Actually, nakuha niya yung idea. Pinagsama-sama niya po yung biology, yung sociology, even philosophy, no? To understand itong complexity na meron ang societies, no? And actually, dito na po niya sasabihin, no, dito na po makukuha yung idea ng survival of the fittest. By the way, no, by the way, oftentimes it is a mistake. Oh, ito lumilitaw din sa board exam ito kasi sino daw ang nag-coin ng term na survival of the fittest? Ang sinasagot ng mga tao si Charles Darwin. Kasi syempre nung nag-aaral sila, no, puro na lang si Darwin ang itinuturo kapag survival of the fittest. But no, okay? No po, no? Even the famous universities would already publish and confirm, no, like Cambridge. Ang sasabihin po nila that this term survival of the fittest actually came from Herbert Spencer, no? And it is a response by Spencer after reading, no, yung work ni Darwin na Origin of Species. So eventually gagamitin na rin po ito ni Darwin. Ayan si Darwin, nakikita nyo din diyan. Ay, ayan siya, okay. Gagamitin na din siya ni Darwin every now and then kasi mas madaling na explain yung kanyang ideas using it. But again, the thing is, Herbert Spencer was inspired by Charles Darwin, but it was Herbert Spencer who coined the term survival of the fittest. Okay? Tulad po ng nasabi natin dito, no, di ba, ang ayan, based on what you can see in the picture, no, just like animals, just like living organisms, no, itong societies, according to Herbert Spencer, no, they also need to ano ba ito? They need to be better adapted to their environments, no? So that they can meet the needs of their members so that they can thrive. At yung latest na binigay ko nga pong halimbawa para maintindihan natin, halimbawa nung pumasok ang Industrial Revolution, ang industrialization, no? Yung mga industries o yung mga factories who aligned themselves, okay, or who adopted to the demands of industrialization, sila po yung nag-survive. Pero yung mga humindi dito, no, yung mga hindi naniwala sa industrialization, dito sa trend ng industrialization, eventually sila din yung nawala. Ganun din po, no, sa living organisms, 'di ba? So basically, kung sino mag magsusurvive, kung sino yung who will be adaptable to change, yun po ang magsusurvive, no? Sige. Alright, and also, Herbert Spencer will be known for seeing the society just like an organism, no? Tulad ng isang organismo, the different parts, no, are interconnected and they have different contributions. So, an organism, tulad po ng naituro sa atin, no, ito po ay may mga organs at syempre kailangan mag-function well ng bawat isa sa mga ito, no, to form a coherent, no, and to form a very good organism. Ayan. Ganon din po sa society natin. Kumbaga, we need institutions that are well functioning so that they can ano ba ito, they can form a very good society, a harmonious society, no? So that is Herbert Spencer. Nako, sa suking-suki yan, Sir Herbert Spencer ng ating Soksay Majorship, no? Let's proceed. Ayan, dito naman po tayo tumungo kay, this one, this is Charles Cooley, no? Hindi ko alam kung na-discuss ko na sa inyo si Charles Cooley, pero I think it's fine time na this is the time that I'll discuss him to you, no? Ito pong si Charles Cooley ay kilala sa kanyang looking glass self, no? Na kung saan sa teoryang ito, he believes, no, or he proposes that in order for you, or rather you can this is ano ba to sa teoryang ito nagbigay siya ng framework. Yan. Framework for understanding yung process ng socialization at saka ng pagbuo natin ng sense of self-identity. Parang kumbaga, we develop no our sense of self, no? Nade-develop lamang po natin ang sense of self natin whenever we interact with others, no? And whenever of course we consider the perceptions they have of us, okay? So yan po, tulad na nakikita nyo dyan, sabi, how my mom and dad sees me, how my girlfriend sees me, how my older brother sees me, and how my ex-girlfriend sees me. Looking at the looking glass self theory, ayan, no? Parang kumbaga nagkakaroon tayo ng idea kung sino tayo, batay sa kung ano, kung paano tayo nakikita ng iba, no? Kung paano ang sinasabi nila sa atin, yun, ganun natin nakikilala ang ating sarili. Sige, wait lang, paano ko ba i-adjust ito, no? Baka kasi hindi nyo makita. So, ayan. O, di ba, gusto nyo yun? Mano-manong pag-adjust ng laptop, okay? So, dito po kay Charles Cooley, may 3 stages po tayo kung paano po natin ginagawa itong looking glass self. Of course, number 1, no, we imagine, nababasa nyo ba? Ayan siya. So, we imagine how we appear to others, no? So, dito, tinitingnan natin paano tayo nakikita ng ibang tao, no? Paano ba tayo, ano bang itsura natin? Paano ba tayo umasta? Paano ba tayo magsalita? We imagine how we appear to others. Ang cute-cute ko naman dito sa sulok, no? Ayan. And then also, ayan, we also imagine afterwards. So again, you imagine how you appear to others. Number 2, you imagine their judgment, no? Dito mo na pag-iisipan, no? Yung judgment nila dun sa nakikita nila sa atin, palagay ba nila tayo ay friendly? Palagay ba nila tayo ay mukhang matalino? Palagay nila tayo ba ay mukhang mabait? Ayan, batay syempre sa kung ano yung nakita nila dun sa first stage, no? And lastly, dito na po tayo, no? We will develop feelings about ourselves, no? So, the thing is, if we think na yung iba, they saw us in a good way, no? Of course, we will be feeling proud. But if we think that they saw us in the bad way, of course, we might feel embarrassed, no? So, yan po ang 3 stages ni Charles Cooley sa kanyang looking glass self, okay? O, babalik na po ako. 1, 2, 3. Alright, diba? Ganun tayo dito, no? First time ko kasi po itong gagamitin, no? First time kong gagamitin itong ganitong feature, diba? Eme-eme lang. Okay, sige. Let's proceed. Sino nga ba ang ating susunod na sociologist? We have Max Weber. Ayan, okay? Sige, sino ba dito si Max Weber? Ayun. Ayan, yan nasa gitna po. Ayan, all right, sige. Okay, so sige, si Max Weber po, siya po ay kilala doon sa kanyang term na Verstehen, no? Ito po ay German term na ang ibig sabihin lang po ay understanding, no? Dito po, no, ang pino-point out lang, actually, of course, we do not expect that the board exam will ask about the certain thing dito sa konsepto ng Verstehen. Baka expect ninyo? Which among the following concepts of Max Weber pertains to understanding? Sagot ba Verste? Hindi po ganun, no? Parang tinatanong dito kung paano daw po nakikita ni Max Weber, no? Kunwari, ang pagtuturo ng mga konsepto. And take note, no? Minsan na pong natanong yan. Like, halimbawa daw, kapag tatanungin daw si Max Weber, paano daw po dapat tayo magturo ng mga political concepts? Ang sagot po dito, using the idea of Verstehen, no? We should not impose our values and biases whenever we teach, no? Anong ibig sabihin yan? This Verstehen concept by Weber proposes a kind of teaching that is neutral in nature. Para kumbaga, halimbawa, pag-uusapan natin ang demokrasya, ang sosyalismo, ang komunismo. Of course, as teachers, we have our biases. But the thing is, whenever we teach it to our students, we make it to a point na dapat objective ang pagpapakilala natin sa konsepto, no? So again, hindi man verstehan na makita ninyo sa board exam, pero kapag tinanong anong uri ng teaching ang kay Max Weber, ang sagot doon yung neutral, no? Yung parang ano ba ito, walang biases. Ganun po siya, okay? All right. Next, we also have the three forms of legitimate authority. Ay, to, Diyos ko. Ito yung lumilitaw recently kay Max Weber, no? We have three forms of legitimate authority. So we have number one, ayan, starting from the very bottom, we have traditional authority. And then we also have legal rational authority. Tapos meron din po tayong charismatic authority, no? Alright, sige. Dito po sa traditional authority, dito na tinatanong, di ba? Which, according to Max Weber, no, is the best example of a person who imposes traditional authority. Tapos ang sagot doon, sino? Si King Louis the 14th. O, take note, no? Ayan, si King Louis the 14th o Louis the Great. No? Because when we talk of traditional authority, no, these are based on customs, no? Ito ay batay dun sa mga long-standing na practices na mayroon ang mga tao. At ang mga perfect na example dito, kapag tinanong po ulit kayo ng board exam, ay yung mga hari, yung mga reyna, yung mga monarchs, okay? Because again, no, their power is based on heredity. It was passed down into generations, no, at batay talaga sa matinding set of customs and traditions. So that is traditional authority. Again ha, kapag po traditional authority, yung ating mga monarchs ang sagot dyan. Next. Also, we have legal rational authority. Ang legal rational authority, no, ito na po yung mga batay sa these are the authorities which were hailed, no, batay sa mga formal rules and laws that we have, no. Of course, ang mga mabibigyan nating example dito, syempre yung mga leaders natin from the modern government and bureaucracy. So halimbawa, o dito sa Pilipinas, what's our formal rule or law? It's based on the Constitution, tama? At nakalagay po doon, ang mag-head sa atin ay ang presidente. O yan. So basically, kapag tinanong, no, who is an example of a legal rational authority currently in the Philippines, it's Ferdinand Marcos Jr., no, our President BBM. So yan po, that's a legal rational authority. Again, ang point lang yan, these are leaders established by formal rules or formal laws, no? And then, we also have charismatic authority. Dito naman po, papasok yung ang mga leaders that were, ano ba ito, they became powerful, they became influential because of their personal qualities and charisma, no? So, ang mga kasama dito, take note po, ang mga teachers, no? Ang kasama dito, yung mga propetang pangrelihiyon, ayan, or the religious leaders, no? And then, of course, the revolutionary leaders, kasama din sila dyan, no? So kung magbibigay tayo ng example, halimbawa si Kibuloy, ayan, ang hinahanap natin si Kibuloy. Ayan, no? Siya po ay bahagi ng ating charismatic leader. So evidently marami pong napapasunod itong si Kibuloy dahil sa husay niyang manghikayat ng mga tao. Then of course, another charismatic leader we had in the Philippines would be Ramon Magsaysay, no? Sabi nga natin, walang perpektong presidente, pero kung titingin ka ng ideal, o syempre si Ramon Magsaysay because siya yung presidenteng lumapit, no? At talagang bumaba kasama ang masa. So, yon, naging charismatic siya kasi maraming sumuporta talaga sa kanya. So, again, no? Ito po yung three types of authorities based on Max Weber, no? Ayan, let's proceed. Sino naman kaya ang susunod? Atin ang pag-usapan. Ang syempre, no? Isang famous dyan patungkol sa kanyang konsepto ng suicide. Sino? Yes, that's Emil Durkheim. Ayan, okay? So dito po si Emil Durkheim ay nagsabi that capitalism, no, the current prevalent, no, the prevalent economic system we have is leading to a lot of cases of suicide, no. Ang point niya lang, parang kumbaga he observed that the suicide numbers rise, no, or increase kapag po yung isang bansa, it has ventured into industrialization and consumer capitalism, no? So, ang point is that, of course, capitalism will lead to unhappiness or sadness. And then eventually, it can also lead to isolation. And isolation would be leading to suicide. Ganun po yung konsepto nun. And for the four types of suicide, na-discuss na po yan sa atin, no? Using our diagnostic, no? And of course, our mid-review phases. So for now, para po, bakit daw po nagkaroon ng unhappy people because of capitalism? So of course, number one, mas naging prevalent yung individualism, no? Before, before, ang point is that ano ba ito? Ang point is that we are so much influenced by our clans, our groups. Halimbawa, magdidesisyon sinong mapapangasawa, magdidesisyon anong course ang kukunin, anong trabaho ang i-take, no? Tinatanong yung pamilya, pinagdidesisyon na ng pamilya, laging ganun. But now, and we see this as reality in the Philippines, no? Ang nagkakaroon na ng individualism na kung saan desisyon na ng tao. And this is an ambivalent concept because it's positive because it gives you more freedom. Tama, no? Ang ganda kasi you are in charge of your life. But how does it become negative according to Emil Durkheim? Ang punto, halimbawa, kapag daw nag-progress, naging successful yung naging decision mo, magiging ano ka, of course, you would be praised, no? You would be applauded by the people. But the thing is, if you will fail, wala nang ibang sisisihin kundi ikaw. At ang napansin niya, madalas nagfe-fail sila, no? So, doon na, umaabot na po sa puntong they isolate themselves because of individualism, because of that failure, and eventually they commit suicide, no? Alright, sige, next, tingnan natin, pasadahan natin yung iba. Excessive hope. Sabi niya, ang sabi ni Emil Durkheim, no, parang pinapaniwala ng kapitalismo ang mga tao na napakadali lang magtagumpay. Of course, inspirational naman, no? Halimbawa sa TikTok, makita natin yung mga CEO bigla, no? Tayo na-inspire tayo. But the reality, sabi niya, ang totoo, hindi naman lahat ng tao pwedeng maging mayaman. Hindi naman lahat ng tao talagang magiging successful sa buhay. It's good to have hope, but according to Durkheim, capitalism gives us so much hope, excessive hope, na parang bang ang idea natin, abot kamay natin yung ating mga pangarap, parang ayan lang ang pangarap natin. Pero ang totoo hindi. Kailangan mo munang mag-travel na milya-milya bago ka mapunta sa pangarap mo. Ganon, no? Another one, ito po, yung too much freedom, katulad na napakita kanina, whatever works for you, ano ba ito? You do it. Yun ang sinasabi, no? But of course, it leads to the idea na kapag nga po nag-fail, no, itong decision mo, walang ibang sisisihin kundi ikaw. Ayun, no? Next, meron din po tayo ditong atheism. While Durkheim considers himself an atheist, no, na-appreciate naman po niya yung relihiyon. Bakit? Na-appreciate niya yung relihiyon because it serves as ano ba ito? Ito yung nagbibigkis sa lipunan, no? Ito yung nagbibigkis sa lipunan. Halimbawa, we have ceremonies, we have masses, talagang nagsasama-sama ang mga tao. Pero dahil daw sa atheism, ayun na nga, hindi na magsasama-sama ang mga tao. And you remember, di ba, part po ng components or part po ng criteria ng suicide would be integration into the society. Kumbaga, kapag hindi ka integrated into the society, may punto na of course that could lead you to suicide, no? Ganun po siya. So that's atheism. And lastly, weak nation and family, no? As evidenced by of course weak individualities transcending to become weak communities, no? Weak societies, weak families, and weak nations. All right? So yun po yun, okay? O di ba? O ganun lang po. And actually we have a lot of thinkers, no? We have a lot of sociologists. But the thing is, I just trimmed them, no? Tininim ko po yung discussion natin dun sa mga pinakamamahalaga at sila po yun, no? Ito po yung mga na-discuss natin, alright? Sige. Now, we proceed na po to another topic that we have. We have the three major theoretical perspectives, no? And actually, there were already items that discussed this, pero mahalaga din po na isa-isahin natin sila again for the sake of the newcomers, no? For the sake of our unit earners, pati na yung mga sabi nila, medyo nangangalawang sila. Let's talk about these three major perspectives. You're familiar with this one, no? Ito po yung mga ginagamit ng mga sociologists para i-analyze ang phenomena at different levels, no? Using, of course, different perspectives. So, number one, unang-una na dyan, ang ating symbolic interactionism, no? So, itong teoryang ito, it focuses on how people interact, no? From the word interactionism, ano ba ito? It focuses on how people interact with each other using symbols, no? Ano po ba yung mga symbols na ito? And by the way, this is it traces its origin from Max Weber. Take note of that. But ang pinaka-famous na o ang pinaka-kilala no na magi-introduce sa perspektibong ito ay walang iba kundi si George Herbert Mead, no? Bakit na-trace ang origin kay Max Weber? Because si Max Weber, 'di ba, nagsabi kanina batay dun sa discussion natin that individuals act according to the interpretations, no? Kung paano sila paano yung ini-interpret ng ibang tao yung symbols na ipinapakita nila, no? So, it traces its origin from Max Weber, but it is Mead, no? It is Mead who will become so much famous about this theory, no? So, ang sinasabi ni Mead, people selves, no? Ang pagkasarili ng mga tao, no? These are social products, no? And these selves are purposive and creative, sabi niya. So, ayan. And also, si Mid din yung makikilala natin magsasabi na man lives in a world of meaning. Eh, yun naman ang point ng symbolic interactionism, no? So, when we talk about meaning, minsan natanong na din ng board exam, ganito siya. Parang nagbigay po siya ng mga examples, no? Which among the following is not, ang tanong, is not ano ba ito? Is not one of the scope, parang ganyan, of symbolic interactionism. Naglagay siya, syempre, language, religious icons, no? Ano pa ba? Gestures, ganyan. And then, of course, ang isa pang option doon, principles, no? If I'm not mistaken, principles. So, ano po yung sagot doon, no? Which is not a scope of symbolic interactionism. It may be a scope pero medyo malayo na ang ano, yung principles. Bakit, no? Kasi po kapag symbolic interactionism, yes, pinag-uusapan natin diyan ang language, no? Because language is symbolic, okay? We also study the religious icons, o yan, no? O religious symbols, pinag-uusapan natin yan. Pinag-uusapan din natin syempre yung mga gestures, okay? Syempre, anong ibig sabihin ng body language natin, no? So, ibig sabihin yung tatlo, they are part of symbolic interactionism. Ang wala doon yung prinsipyo, no? Or the beliefs that we have, no? And of course, no, ano makikita nating implication ng symbolic interactionism? Paano natin makikita? Kasi certain items, certain concepts in the society, existing in the society, no? They are but symbols which are perceived differently by people, no? Or in most cases, they have their common perception about this symbol. Halimbawa, nauuso po ba yung mga vape ngayon, 'di ba? Actually, even in our schools, isa po 'yan sa mga talagang ano natin, no? Isa sa mga sinusolusyonan natin, tinatry natin i-resolve. Mahirap siyang i-resolve. Bakit? Because the people today, no, even the youth, no, they see that vaping, no, is not a symbol of harmful of a harmful substance or rather of a harmful tool to the health, no? Hindi ganoon. Ang symbol nila sa vape, halimbawa, it symbolizes being cool, no? It symbolizes prestige, parang ganyan, no? Kapag may vape ka, cool ka. Kaya, puto, nag-vape sila lahat, no? Nag-vape lahat. That is an example of how such symbols, no? Kung paano po siya ini-interpret ng society, it drastically, no? It significantly, ano ba ito? alters, no, alters our activities, our social interactions, no. And halimbawa, no, isa din po diyan, halimbawa itong thumbs up natin. O di ba nabanggit kanina yung gestures pala. O so halimbawa ang thumbs up natin, kung yung vaping, no, iisang perspective ng mga tao na it is cool, ito naman sa thumbs up, syempre, generally ang point niyan, okay, ganyan, no. Halimbawa, when you go to US, when you go to the Philippines, kapag thumbs up, okay. Pero halimbawa in other cultures like Iran and Iraq, no, syempre dito magiging offensive ang ibig sabihin ng ang magiging ibig sabihin nito, no? They actually even attribute this similar to a middle finger, mga tipong ganyan. So that's it, no? So in here we saw that symbols give us different interpretations sometimes like the thumbs up, no? But in most cases similar ang interpretations, no? So ganun po siya. So ang point lang natin using symbolic interactionism, no? Ano ba ito? Ang point natin, it's about understanding how individuals give meaning, no? Nagbibigay ng meaning sa mga things that they see, that things that they encounter in their everyday living, okay? Alright, so sige, next, proceed po tayo. Ayan, syempre, isa po sa mga paborito natin dito, ang conflict theory, alright? So, ayan, we recognize in the conflict theory, no, that we have, of course, ito, first of all, in conflict theory, naniniwala po tayo that the society is made up, no? Ito yung kinapapalooban ng mga grupo that are constantly in competition, no? That are in conflict with each other. So, halimbawa, ang makikita natin dito sa ating example, o syempre, ang prominenteng working class versus capitalist class. O nabanggit nga natin, no? Ang kapitalista, nagbibigay lamang po ng puhunan. Tapos ang working class, siya yung kakayod, siya talaga yung mag-aalay ng dugot pawis para sa trabaho. Kasi itong trabaho kapag kumita na, ayan, nakakalimutan yung nagtrabaho, no? Nakakalimutan na itong ating working class. Ang lahat ng pera napupunta sa kapitalista, tapos ang naibabahagi dito sa manggagawa ay kakaunti, no? Kaya nga there's an existing conflict within them. And according to the conflict theory, no, ito na nga po. So tingnan natin. According to this theory, the social... Ba't ayaw mapindot? Ayan. The social structures maintain the dominance of one group over the other. O so halimbawa daw in the workplace nga, ang pinaka-prominente ng halimbawa, ang mga workplace natin, yun nga, the workers, they work so much hard for it, but they receive little compensation, no? But on the other hand, no, ito naman pong mga powerful group, no, specifically itong mga kapitalista, they receive a lot despite not doing or not exerting so much effort, no. Yun ang nagiging kaso. So ang punto dito, no, actually do we in the of course in the current times realistically, no, so do we totally oppose businesses? Ang punto naman hindi, no. Maganda nga ang business para kumbaga sagot sa kahirapan talaga 'yan, no, sagot para maging matagumpay sa buhay. But of course, whenever we do business, kailangan ang point po nito ay we give the workers, no, we give our employees, no, ano ba ito, the benefit that they deserve, no. So kumikita naman ang kumpanya, ano pat bigyan sila, no, ng ginhawa mula rito, 'di ba? Ganun 'yan, okay? All right. And also, no, in one Prof Ed question which was encountered in the previous years, ano daw ang perspective ng conflict theory sa eskwela? Ito ba daw ay positive or negative? Ang sagot po doon ay negative, no? And by the way, no, bago po tayo dumako doon, yes, the working class is called the proletariat and the capitalist class is called the bourgeoisie. O sige, going back to the question, no? Tinanong minsan ng board exam, ito daw po bang mga eskwela para sa conflict theory ay positive or negative, no? Kumbaga, ano ba ito, nakapagdudulot ng kabutihan o hindi? Alam niyo po, ang sagot, negative, no? Kasi for the conflict theory, ito po, ano to, specific po ito, no, sa conflict theory kasi ang conflict theory naniniwala siya that these schools, no, or these educational institutions, they even perpetuate social inequality kasi halimbawa kapag napasok ang isang bata sa isang elite school, no, sa isang private school, ang sinasabi parang mas marami siyang access sa opportunities, mas marami siyang access sa magandang facilities, magandang resources, ganyan, no. Tapos sabi dun sa mga underprivileged, no, yung na mga estudyante, talaga namang ano ba ito? Talaga namang ano ba ito? Salat sila doon sa mga resources na kailangan para mag-aral. So sabi niya, the schools they perpetuate the inequality, no? Para kina Marx, para sa conflict theory, school, no, is just one way to produce a lot of capitalists and a lot of working classes who are in conflict with each other. Ang sinasabi niya, parang kumbaga, isa pang sinasabi, no, sa pagka-negative ng school dito, yung kapag nagkakaroon na ng stratification of students, no, like halimbawa kapag mayaman ang mga estudyante, madalas ang mga kursong i-offer dyan, medicine, no, medical related. Pero kapag from a poorer background ng mga estudyante, ang mga course na naka-offer bigla sa kanila, mga pan-tech, voc, ganon. Although walang masama sa tech voc, no? Pero kung i-compare mo nga naman ang salary, no, dating nila sa hinaharap, ay syempre, no, talagang malaki ang gap. Malaki ang gap. So again, no, that's just the point. According to this theory, the school perpetuates inequality. So, syempre, doon na papasok ang role ng teachers, okay? Doon na po papasok ang role ng teachers, sabi nga natin, on the idea of inclusion, ano man ang socio-economic background, kailangan pantay ang pagtrato sa mga bata at pantay din ang edukasyon sa mga bata, no? Not necessarily pantay na pantay, pero of course, suited to their needs and interests, okay? Sige, let's proceed. And this is the last one among our theoretical perspectives. We have structural functionalism, no? So, basic, ang sinasabi nito, that society is made up of institutions that are in cooperation with each other. Kaya you see this image, no? Ang point na parang ganyan, no? We are as if parang isang buong machinery. Each gear is an institution. At kailangan, one gear is working so that the others will work as well. Ganun po siya. So they need to work together para ma-maintain yung stability and order, no? Yan. Again, the society is made of institutions. Now the question is, do you know what are the five primary institutions? Ayan. O, isa pa ito, no? So again, another chance, another time, no, na nagkaroon po ng board exam question, which is not, okay, which is not a primary institution in the society. Nakalimutan ko yung sagot dito, no? Actually, oo nga. Sayang dapat pala nilagay ko ito sa pre-board. But I would just like to orient you that the five basic institutions are the following. So we have family, education or the school, religion or the church, no? Economics or the economy, politics or the government. So yan po yan, no? And you would notice that these five basic institutions, no? Ito din po yung point of study ng sociology such that whenever we study sociology, halimbawa, may mga references na ang isang chapter tungkol sa family, ang isang chapter tungkol sa education, di ba? Ganun siya. Isang chapter tungkol sa religion, isang chapter tungkol sa economy, and isang chapter tungkol sa politics. So you need to remember those, no? Meron tayong limang basic social institutions. Yan po yung mga yan. Alright? Okay. So, the thing is, ayan, we also remember, no, we integrate our Prof Ed part in here na yung sinasabi tungkol dun sa, di ba, we studied this in EdComSol, no, in the school community and leadership, MME. So, ang point, no, kailangan daw kapag, of course, when the institutions are functioning well, it produces a society that is described as having an order, no, having stability, having productivity. But of course, if they are not functioning well, itong mga institutions na ito, no, the thing is they need to adapt to recapture, no, the new order, stability, and productivity. O halimbawa po, na ano pong halimbawa niyan? Oh, halimbawa, kapag daw sa bahay, kasi ang bahay, no, nandiyan ang pamilya, nandiyan ang mga magulang, duty niya na turuan ng magandang asal ang kanyang anak, no? O, di ba? One of the prominent ano po 'yan? One of the prominent issues na meron po tayo ngayon 'yan sa ating mga eskwelahan. Duty ng tahanan, duty ng pamilya na turuan ng magandang asal ang kanyang anak. Pero now a lot of parents are failing to do it. And then suddenly they blame the school, no? Because, no, here's the thing. The school just did its part, no? Parang kumbaga ang eskwela ngayon, siya yung gumagawa ng paraan para mapunan yung hindi nabigay ng mga magulang, no? Kasi nga according to the structural functionalist, no, kapag ang isang institusyon hindi gumagana, kailangan may going adjustments, may going efforts yung ibang institusyon. So halimbawa, hindi na kayanan ng family, no? Tapos, tumutulong ngayon ang eskwelahan. Take note, ang term doon, tumutulong lang ang eskwelahan, no? Hindi trabaho dapat ng eskwelahan itong hindi main duty ng eskwelahan itong pagbibigay ng pagbabahagi ng magandang asal. Kailangan nag-uumpisa siya sa pamilya. Kaya dapat hindi po tayo nasisisi ng mga magulang na, uy, ba't hindi nyo tinuturuan ng magandang asal ang mga bata? Ang punto, dapat sila po muna ang magturo. Kataga-nurture lang po tayo. Ang ending, tayo na nga ngayon yung nagtuturo, tayo pa yung nasisisi. My God, no? So, yun lamang po, no? So, yun lamang. So, given this, tingnan po natin, meron po tayong question, no, patungkol dito. I posted this, no, sa ating YouTube 2 months ago siguro. Tapos, to my surprise, may mga nagkakamali pa pala. So, sabi ko, kailangan na ma-discuss pa rin ang three major perspectives, no? So, this is an actual board exam question. Sabi, these are the correct relationships that describe the current theories in sociology, but not to include. Not, ha? Not ang sinasabi. A, conflict theory is equals to power struggle. B, evolutionary theory is equals to thesis antithesis. C, symbolic interactionist theory, rewards and cause. Or D, structural functional theory, organization and functions. O, tingnan po natin. Ang conflict theory, tungkol ba siya sa power struggle between two groups? Yes, di ba sabi ko nga, may conflict, may existing competition sa pagitan ng dalawa. So check yan, hindi yan yung sagot. No? Kasi not ang tinatanong. Next, o baba tayo dito sa structural functional theory, 'di ba? Sabi nga natin, no? They need to ano ba ito? They need to work as a whole, no? Itong mga organization na may kanya-kanyang functions, itong mga institusyon na may kanya-kanyang functions, they need to work as a whole, no? Para kumbaga, they need to work coherently. So check din 'yan. Ngayon, sa pagitan na lang po tayo ng B at C, no? Tingnan natin. B is evolutionary